It doesn't matter whether or not it's your partner, your friend, your coworker, or family member. Betrayal changes you. There is absolutely no getting around it. It's devastating and it's emotionally draining. But you can heal from betrayal and you will heal from betrayal. But there's a method to the madness. You have to put your focus on yourself. Learn from the betrayal. Learn about yourself, how it changed you, and what you need to do to get yourself back on track to healing. Because somebody else's behavior should not be a measure of your self worth. And that's the truth.
Hello.
Okay, Stacey, am I with you?
Yes, you are beautiful. How you doing?
Right, I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. Waiting for you to do what you do, and I need you to tell me this good stuff. How I'm supposed to heal without committing violence or whatever from being betrayed.
You know what? That's why we're talking about the other side of betrayal. That's why we're talking about the other side of betrayal, Stacey, because we get stuck. You know, we get stuck. We get stuck in the throes of the betrayal. You know, we get stuck in the act. We get stuck in the details. We get stuck, and there are so many people.
I'm sorry,
because I am struggling.
I'm sorry, but you're saying that like we're not supposed to get stuck in the details. But go ahead on, Sharon.
We're going to talk about that. You know, we're going to talk about that. We're going to get deep into it, and hold that thought. Definitely hold that thought. But I wanted to go beyond the heartbreak because, I mean, we know what the heartbreak is. We know why the heart has broken and all of that. And so many people are walking around and they are still unhealed. They think they've healed. They think that, you know, because it's been years ago, it's over. You know, I've weathered that storm, it's over, but it's really not, because they continue to get triggered. They continue to show the symptoms of the heartbreak and the betrayal, because betrayal changes us. Would you agree?
It does. It does. It does something to us, and I guess you'll touch base on that self-esteem or just trusting people.
Exactly.
And you said that you were going to talk, and when you first said something about betrayal, my first thing was about relationships. But then you said it could be friendships, on the job. Betrayal is a terrible thing.
Yeah. When we think about betrayal, and I'm glad you said that, because the first thing we'll think is an intimate relationship, you know, cheating. And that's not the only form of betrayal. If you think about a romantic relationship, just thinking about some of the people that I've worked with this week, pornography in a romantic relationship is considered by some a betrayal, you know, and betrayal can be subjective. It's subjective to the people in the relationship, whatever the relationship is, you know. And you got your face like, what? I think pornography is betrayal. Yes, some people may think that that is a betrayal.
I guess it is betrayal if one partner doesn't know that the partner is watching pornography.
Exactly. And then there's the shock when they find out, and they feel a sense of deceit or, you know, disloyalty. You know, they feel like they're being cheated on because he's getting his pleasures from, you know, this act. So the betrayal of this is subjective. You know, it's first of all, it's a breach of trust. It's a breach of loyalty. It's a deceit, and it can be intentional or unintentional, right?
Right.
So when a person comes to me and they're experiencing betrayal trauma, because betrayal can be traumatic, you know, people will experience it in a traumatic way. Some people will. And it depends on, you know, the extent of the betrayal and who did it, you know, how close you were to the person who betrayed you. But some people experience it as a trauma, and there's a loss aspect to it. When you think about being in a relationship with someone and you having You think you got everything figured out. You think that we are on the same page, and then out of the blue, something happens, and there's a violation of trust, or there's a violation of loyalty or support or something like that. It rocks your world. It definitely rocks your world.
Yeah, I remember growing up, well, in my lifetime, my younger years, and even since I've gotten older, I've seen a couple people that seem a little, I don't want to say cuckoo, a little different. People would describe someone one way, how she used to be. But I'm seeing something different now, or how he used to be.
Right.
And it comes from betrayal, especially when it's someone you love. Love will mess a person up.
Yes. Yes, it will, definitely. And those changes that you'll see in the person, there's a difference between a defense mechanism and a coping mechanism. And most of the time when we're betrayed, we will develop defense mechanisms thinking that we're protecting ourselves. But a lot of the ways that we defend ourselves are actually keeping us stuck in the betrayal syndrome.
So when you say we develop ways to be defensive, you said?
Defense mechanisms, yeah.
So can you give me a couple examples?
Sure. So becoming angry is a defense mechanism.
Okay.
Becoming controlling is a defense mechanism. Becoming suspicious is a defense mechanism. That's a way of you trying to becoming rigid, and some of the things you'll say, you're like emotionally detached. The person may decide that they're going to be emotionally detached. They're going to be dismissive, avoidant. Nobody else is going to get close to me. I'm not let anybody else get close enough to me to do this, or I'm not going to ever trust anybody else again, or I'm never going to put myself in that position ever again. You get these absolutes. So those are defense mechanisms, and may change you because you may have been a very trusting, happy-go-lucky person, but now you can't be that person anymore because this betrayal has rocked you to the core, and you decide you need to protect yourself. And so these are the ways that people will protect themselves. They may become super rigid. They may, some people may go to the other end and be people pleasers because I don't want anybody to leave me. I can't take the rejection or the abandonment. So I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I satisfy every whim that this person has so that I don't have to worry about them betraying me again, because you feel a loss of control. And so that action makes you feel like you have some control over the situation when really you don't.
So is this something that you think when someone's betrayed and they take on these roles or these characteristics, is it something that people can acknowledge themselves and know that they need help? Or is it something that someone else you think has to point it out to them?
Most of the time, somebody else has to point it out to them. And if that defensiveness is ongoing and long term, it could lead to anxiety and depression and some of the other things that lead people into my office. So, but most of the time they don't know that they're doing what they're doing, because the goal is to take control of the situation and to get back to a place of normalcy. But it's a new normal, you never, once the betrayal happens, it's rare without the healing that you can get back to that place where you actually trust yourself and trust other people again.
So because the betrayal can be done in so many ways.
So let's talk about some of the ways. Lying, somebody lying to you.
Okay.
Somebody, so let's look at the romantic side of things. Let's say you got a romantic partner and they conceal information. You think you know all the things that you need to know about that person. And then you find out that they have concealed some big information.
That's why you got to do like this. And I'm not going to name the group of people, but I spoke to, a foreign person one time.
Uh-huh.
And he told me before the child gets married to such and such, you do a credit check, a background check, and other things. But go ahead, we need to do that here.
That, yeah, and a lot of people are doing that now. You know, a lot of people are deciding a part of the preface before I become serious with you is I'm going to check you out. I'm going to look, you know, deeper and do a background check. I ain't mad at you. I mean, that's what you feel like you need to do. And most of those people probably have been betrayed before, and therefore they decide, you know, let me check out the background of this person before I enter in and put both feet in this relationship. But substance abuse, that's another one. You know, you find out y'all in this relationship and you think everything's good, but then you start maybe seeing some little signs, you know, and then boom, substance abuse. That's a betrayal, right?
And some of these women finding out their men on the down low. Ooh, that's a big one.
That's definitely a betrayal. Yes, definitely. Financial, it can be, you know, that can be financial betrayal. Let's say you have a partner and they misuse your funds, or they use your funds without asking you, or they make big purchases without communicating with you. You know, people experience that as a betrayal. Work. Let's talk about work. You know, something real common that I have been encountering with some clients who are feeling betrayed just this year, pretty much. It's been coming up a whole lot this year. You are at work. You've been on this job for a while. You've gotten good reviews, you know, everything looks like it's hunky-dory, and you get encouraged to apply for a promotion and you don't get the job, but then they want you to train the person.
Ooh, I know. Yeah.
Betrayal, feeling betrayed. Definitely. So that's the type of betrayal. Or your coworker taking responsibility for your work, you know, or your coworker throwing you under the bus when you all are, you know, talking about something you think you got support with each other, and then they throw you under the bus. So it happens in all settings. Friendships. Think about your friend that, you know, that's a friend says yes. Your friends, you know, we hold our friends in a place of loyalty and respect. And then you find out that there's been a breach of confidentiality. You find out that your friend, you know, is spreading gossip about you. You
Can't wait. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, you know, family members, betrayal in the family, you know, that's a big one, where you feel like the family, you know, they got your back, they support you, whatever. You find out that there are things going on that you didn't know about, you know. So that betrayal is not just cheating. It's not just the romantic stuff. It's all relationships. There can be a level of feeling of being betrayed.
Do you think one of the things that one of the reasons betrayal hurts so much is because we forget that people are humans and we put too much trust in them. I mean, I'm not saying not to trust people, but I think when you put people up on a pedestal, not acknowledging the things that, you know, hey, this person isn't perfect, that causes a lot of feelings, make you feel like you're betrayed too.
Exactly. And I liked what you said there, because a lot of our betrayal will come from, some of it will come from unrealistic expectations of the person, because you kind of come in. I always say, Stacey, trust should not be given. It should be earned.
That's right. I believe that. I agree.
And you are interacting with the person, and you're interacting with a person, and you just met them, and you decide that you trust them. You know,
you don't know them.
You don't know anything about them at all. So you put them on that pedestal, you know, and that trust is given to that person. And then when they start to do things, you fall apart because you feel like, I trusted them, you know, but your expectations were too broad in scope for the level of knowledge that you had about the person.
And Fran said something that made me think of something I was going to bring up to you. This has happened to me with friends and family.
Family.
Does it make a difference? Let me see. How do I say this? When you say betrayal, does it make a difference in how I deal with it if it's family versus coworkers, friends, and people that I think I know? Or is betrayal betrayal?
Well, betrayal is betrayal. But you will react to it differently when it's friends or family. You know, the reaction, and depending on the level of expectation and trust that you had with the person, you'll get a different reaction. Because at work, let's say it's a person at work, you know, you don't love that person and you don't owe them anything, but you feel the betrayal. So at work, you may go in and underproduce. You know, you may kind of shut down and be like, well, they're not gonna burn me out, you know. I'm gonna do the bare minimum. I'm not I'm not staying late, I'm not coming in early, I'm not, you know. So you pull back, you hold back. And you may do the same thing in relationships with your family members too, but it's gonna look different. It'll be the same concept, but it just looks different in the family, where you decide walls go up. You know, those walls may go with the family member, the walls that you want to protect you. And you may become very guarded with the family member. You know, you may become distant with the family member. So you'll get the same effect, but it may look different depending on the relationship.
I think, along with not putting people up on a pedestal, I think people need to remember too, when you go to work, they're not your friends.
They're not your friends. No, exactly.
They're not your friends.
Right.
I think when you realize that, it may ease it a little bit.
It does.
The sting a little bit when you're betrayed, right? I think a lot of times people think because they've kissed ass a little bit, and people, excuse me, that what they ain't no bad. It's like they kiss ass a little bit.
Okay.
You know, and somebody's smiling and grinning in their face every day. Remember, at the end of the day, this ain't no friendship.
Exactly.
I want to be promoted just like you.
Just like you. It's a business relationship.
And everybody that, once again, go to work, act like you think they're your friend.
Yeah, exactly. Karen says expectations. Hey, Karen, expectations versus reality. That's a huge one. And a part of the healing will come when you start to pull the reality in.
Oh, I've been waiting for you to get to this part, because I want to hear how I'm supposed to heal. I want you to tell me how I'm supposed to heal, because in my mind, it depends on how you betrayed me.
Okay. All right.
I know you're going to tell me the right thing.
And you're going to determine that I don't want to do. Sometimes people don't want to do the right thing. Sometimes people, when I say bitter, so you can get better versus bitter, sometimes people do not want to do the right thing.
People feel better releasing that energy. And I'm not, listen, y'all, listen to Sharon. Don't listen to Stacey. Don't listen to me. I've gotten older. I'm wiser, and I try to do the right thing. But you know, people are forever saying to you, what would Jesus do? And I'm the first person to tell you, I ain't Jesus.
I ain't Jesus. Exactly.
I'm not Jesus. I don't know how I'm going to handle this thing, Sharon.
Well, let me say this. Betrayal has kind of a common, just like grief has a common stages that you go through when you're
excuse me.
Betrayal has common stages too. And the first stage is confusion. What? I can't believe,
Right.
Oh my God, I would have never thought you go into confusion. And you can get, Stacey, you can get stuck in confusion if you are trying to make sense of somebody else's motives and somebody else's behavior.
I agree.
All of this stuff is circling, in your head. You can get stuck in the confusion. A lot of people get stuck right there in the confusion, and
you're just baffled, just, I've realized too, I can't, I don't got time to try to figure out why you messing up.
Now you got there with wisdom. You
But
got
see, that comes when you get older. You know what I'm saying?
right.
I don't have the
Exactly.
energy
Mm-hmm.
to spend trying to figure out why you doing what you doing.
Now, Stacey, that's a part of the healing process. When you tell yourself, when you take back the control and you say, I don't have the energy, or I'm not going to give it that much energy, and I'm not going to be nursing all of these stories in my head, or, really trying to figure out why, make sense of something that don't make sense.
Don't make sense at all. Don't make sense
So
at all.
you get unstuck when you decide, I'm going with the reality. Let me just kind of peel back the onion layers and look at what happened. Facts first. Look at the facts of what happened. And then look at the expectations you had versus the reality. Because sometimes people show you stuff.
Maybe I expected too much and knew deep down inside I was expecting too much, but didn't acknowledge it.
Right. Exactly.
You can't. I'm back on this relationship thing, just like example. You can't. I'm thinking of my younger days.
Okay.
You can't take a man that's a hoe in the street and in your mind think because you love him, he ain't gonna betray you.
But you
And
special.
then,
But you special.
and
But you
then
special.
you special. And then, yeah, it's right in your face. It's right in your face.
Mm-hmm.
You walk up on him, you see him cheat. Now
Right.
you about to lose your mind, but you knew.
Right. Exactly. Now, what about, okay, in that scenario, women, men, both sides of the equation get caught thinking that you are going to, there's something special about you that has connected with this person, and this person that's been a cheater is going to now be very different in the relationship with you.
Why you think that? Why you think that?
Expectations versus reality.
And let me give you, look, I'm always trying to get on your couch and get counseling. No, I'm joking. Let me throw another one at you. For the women,
Uh-huh.
when it doesn't work out with a man,
Mm-hmm.
don't be angry at the woman he go with. Be glad you ain't got it no more.
Yeah, but the second stage of that betrayal syndrome is the state of loss of worth. You're upset with her because it makes you feel like that betrayal makes some people feel like I'm not good enough. Why wasn't I good enough? There's something wrong with me. And so they look at that other woman and they're mad at her because he chose her. He chose her over me. I'm mad because he chose her over me. And therefore, what is it about her that he chose her over me? And so there's an anger about her being chosen over you.
I think what comes in there too, and tell me if you disagree, I think it has a lot to do with believing in yourself and your own self-worth. Because if you know you're an awesome person, if you know you giving good things, you're a good person.
Right.
How can you sit there and spend so much energy on being angry because he's gone? He's or she's gone.
Because it's a loss of role,
Right.
You had a role, right?
Right. And I've learned, like, even with working with people and like the networking I've done, right? There have been people that someone will say, I'm just using you as an example. Okay. Stacey, how was it working with Sharon? It wasn't a good experience for me. But I have to stop and I have to say this. But because it wasn't a good experience for me, doesn't mean it won't be a good experience for you. Maybe it's me and Sharon that can't work together.
Right. Exactly.
So you have to think about that, whether it's work relationships, couple relationships.
Right. Exactly.
It has nothing to do with, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone would get along with Sharon better than maybe Stacey can.
Right. And the thing that you just mentioned with, Stacey, life would be so much easier for all of us if we could accept limitations. This person and me, we weren't compatible. Something happened and it didn't work. And now he's gone and he's going on and he's going to be with her, or she's going to be with him.
Right.
But the ego gets involved, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody. Yeah. So it's Sharon, as a therapist.
Karen says she sees it as his loss. That's right. That's when you know your worth. When you know your worth, you see it as his loss, because
Karen,
I know what I brought to the table.
I agree, because now, Karen, I'm going to talk about me. When I look back and thought I lost something, Karen, I'm like, what was you thinking, Stacey? What was you thinking?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I think it comes with,
comes with wisdom.
How we feel about ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. And so that third stage in the betrayal syndrome is the state of powerlessness. Feeling like that hopeless, you've lost control, and trying to regain that control in some kind of way. So that sense of powerlessness that the betrayal would make you feel, you will see a lot. I remember the last show you said something about getting revenge. And I said,
okay, I know that's not the right thing to do, Sharon.
And I
said, when you're in your 20s, see, exactly, I always got to differentiate that age group. When you in your 20s, we ain't interested in turning another cheek.
Exactly. And then that powerlessness would make you feel like, I got to get revenge. I got to get back in a place of control. So it may put you in a position where you start to manipulate and try to get real messy and stir up stuff, and you lose yourself in that sense of powerlessness, trying to get back in a place of control. But you can't control nobody else but yourself.
That's right.
You can't, trying to make I hear people say all the time, I'm going to make them feel what I felt.
They're not going to.
Never. I'm going to make them understand what they made me feel. You don't have any control over that.
And at the end of the day, if that's not something that if that's not the real side of you, the true side of you, when you do it.
Right.
Like I tell people, I have said, I'm not going to allow you to let me go off. Because because then I know later on, I'm going to get on my knees and one more thing I got to ask God to forgive me for. So I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to handle this the right way. Because sooner or later, you're going to calm down and know what you did was wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And so you let them look in the mirror. You leave that mirror right there for them to look in for themselves, instead of you saying, look in the mirror, trying to force the mirror in their faces. You leave a person to their own devices, and sometimes they may turn around and see the error of their ways, and they may not, but you don't have any control over that. So the healing aspect of things comes when you put the reality, first of all, getting out of your head, because the narratives that we create affect us more than the true circumstances and situations.
Right.
We can run a gamut of narratives, and every narrative that we run is gonna get us more and more lost, upset, and stuck.
And then when you got your girlfriends or the guys got their pals around, that ain't helping. Exactly. Take time for yourself to think about this thing, because everybody that ain't got a man got advice. Everybody that you should do this, and every man that ain't got a woman, they got advice. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And then their advice makes you feel helpless, foolish, reckless, all those different things. Like, trust in yourself, rebuilding the trust in yourself, getting to a place where healing comes from, getting to a place where you start to trust yourself again, because you lose sight of what was normal. Go back to what was happening before you met that person, or before the betrayal happened, and if you were already in a state of unbalance, or life was kind of faltering in some ways, then go back and fix what that was before you even got into the situation where the betrayal occurred. Because a lot of times betrayal just brings up your own insecurities that you haven't dealt with. Right.
So
Look
Gotta keep Penny's
inside.
glasses on.
Hey, Pam. There's Pamela Jackson. Can't make a
But
person do anything they don't want to do. That's
yeah,
right. You
and
cannot.
you can't change people. Yana Van Zant said one time, Van Zant, what you see in the beginning is that's what you're gonna get.
That's what you will get. Exactly. Right. Exactly. And that magic dust, that pixie dust that you think you have, where you're gonna change that person. You can't
Ain't
change
happening.
anybody. That you may see some modifications in a person's behavior, but change comes from within. They have to want to change,
Right,
you know.
right. So
And they
no blackmailing your spouse, and they act like
right,
they change, and they know they ain't changed a bit because
they have
you holding the children over his head, you
right.
holding the money over her head. You know.
Mm-hmm. That state of powerlessness leads to that type of stuff. Trying to regain control. So you find things to hold over their head. You find things to manipulate them with. And you never heal in that way. That healing will never come. Now, you're not responsible for what they did to you,
I
but you are responsible for your healing.
Yeah, I remember wanting to get revenge one time. I was daydreaming, getting a gun and popping him in his knees. Don't ask me what. Oh, I just had this thought. Oh my goodness, this was when you're young. It just hit me. What if you pop him in both of his knees and make him come crawling back? He can't walk.
He will
Lord,
crawl back to you, and
God
nobody else
forgive
gonna
me.
want him because he ain't got no knees now.
But see, then I would have been in jail and all of that. And Lord, I'm
Right.
so glad. And that was one of the days God was with me and got my mind straight. Because well, hey, it hurts. Betrayal hurts.
It
And
hurts.
even when a
Mhm.
girlfriend, people have these best friends. I thank God that I still got the best friends I had when I was small. I'm not
Uh-huh.
into making new best friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Best friends. I have had a friend say to me about talking about somebody one time. You just was so busy seeing the good in the person, you didn't pick up on her manipulative ways or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So before we end, I want to talk about this thing with forgiveness, Sharon.
Yes.
So is that one of the things you're going to tell people to move on? They have to forgive?
You know, I saw a clip
Okay.
from Dr. Romney. Dr. Romney is one of the top dogs in dealing with narcissistic abuse in
Okay.
relationships. And I would have said yes before I saw what she said, because my upbringing and my teaching is that if you don't forgive, you still stay stuck. You stay stuck in the trauma if you don't forgive. And I believe that because you got to kind of nurse that story. You got to nurse that hurt over and over and over again to stay in an unforgiving state. You know, you got to remember why you're not forgiving them. You got to keep it there. And then you generalize it to other people. Not that I can't trust this person anymore, but I can't trust nobody. Or not that I can't depend on this person, but I can't depend on anybody, or I won't depend on anybody. So I was always taught that, yes, you forgive because you release yourself when you forgive. And I
Right.
still believe that you release yourself when you
Right.
forgive. But Dr. Romney said, you can work towards releasing yourself and choose not to forgive that person if they have violated you in such a way that it's unspeakable. You do not have to forgive them, but you do the healing work towards, releasing the energy and the hold that it has on you, but you don't have to forgive that person.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's a different way, definitely a different way
And
to process it.
and I think the most important thing about that is because I am one that says forgiving you is not for you. It's so that I don't feel bad, right? But when you said what Dr. Romney said, it's okay that I can't forgive you, but I have to find a way to heal myself,
heal.
to be healed.
So healing is always the goal. Now, if you are a person who cannot heal without forgiving, then you need to forgive. But if you're a person who can heal without forgiving.
Then keep it moving.
Keep it moving. Figure out how to heal yourself,
So when we talk about betrayal, whether it's regardless of who it's with, I want to, some people think if it's family, they have to forgive.
Yeah.
If it's family, you have to forgive and you have to keep talking to that person. I am a believer, and
Right.
hey, I just want to know what you're going to say to this. I am a believer that, you know what, even if I forgive you, it doesn't mean I have to deal with you.
Right.
And the older I get, my mindset has changed toward family. If you really say we're family, if you really think having the same blood is important, then you're going to treat me better.
Yeah.
You're not going to betray me. You're going to have my back, right?
Right.
And if you can't do that, Sharon, whether family or not, I may have to love you or just
from afar.
And some people will say that's wrong. But I think at the end of the day, I don't mean to cut across you. I think at the end of the day, I have to look after my mental capacity, my mentality, my emotions. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And you're on point, definitely. Because forgiveness doesn't mean that you're going to restore the relationship to its previous form, to where it was before the betrayal occurred. That doesn't mean that. And a lot of people mistake it to mean that, okay, we're going to get back to where we were. The relationship's going to look the way it used to look. That's not what it means. You know, a part of your healing, Stacey, is going to be you making a choice. You get to choose whether or not you're going to trust that person again or not. You make a choice. And you look at the offense. You look at the behaviors that have occurred since the offense. You look at the energy that's between you and the person. You look at if they've changed their behaviors or not. You then put your power of choice into place, and that will help you heal, because then you get to set boundaries around this relationship, new boundaries.
Right.
It may not go back to looking the same way it used to look. It doesn't mean you haven't forgiven them. And people will say, oh, you still treat me funny. That means you haven't forgiven me. That doesn't mean that you haven't forgiven them. That means that you have assessed the situation. Well, let me back up. If you haven't healed, if you're still stuck in the betrayal, you may be treating them funny and everything because you're still stuck in the betrayal. But if you're healing and you've decided what boundaries you need to set to keep yourself safe with this person, and you've determined what level of trust you can have with this person, then the relationship's going to look different. It doesn't mean you haven't forgiven them. It just means the boundary is going to be different, because now this is what I choose to do to keep myself safe. Not defended, but safe.
Right. Karen says, I can forgive, but I may not trust again. I feel you, because, listen, Stacey, it ain't all about you, I know, but I'm just saying. You hurt me.
Yeah.
You betray me.
I'm
not somebody that needs you to do it 2 or 3 times for me to leave you alone. I am very protective of me. I have to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to forgive. I am. Even though I've said this before. I've had to forgive some people. I've forgiven some people, but it took God to help me. Some things you can't do by yourself.
And it takes time, Stacey. It takes time. Forgiveness is not an automatic occurrence.
Right.
It takes time, because the healing process is going to take time, and we can't put a time limit on. You hear people say, oh, you should be over that. That happened a long time ago. You're not over that yet. Nobody can put a time frame on your healing process. It takes time. as long as you're working towards the healing, sometimes you may recycle back to an old previous feeling of behavior. You may get triggered and it may take you backwards, but you can start going forward again. Just because you go back doesn't mean you can stay stuck there. You can start going forward again towards the healing aspect of the heartbreak.
I'd like to one day, look at you gonna say, Stacey, you stuck on this betrayal stuff. Look, I'd like to hear from people that watch the show, ways that they have been betrayed, because I know we don't have time for this and this stays stuck on it. Something people have, and I've seen this a few times. Parents lie to children.
Yes.
Parents lie to children about parentage. And child grows up, finds out parents lie. Children grow up, finds out parents lie. That's a terrible betrayal.
Yeah.
It's broken up families.
It has. That's a whole show right there.
That's a whole show. I got some stuff for you to have a show on now.
That right there is a whole show.
And it happens more often. People don't say it out loud. Family members, woman married to somebody, cousin sleeping with him. Right. Okay, Sharon. Stacey done talked.
I was looking over here because we still learning these platforms. I was looking over here to see if I was missing any comments from Instagram side of things, because I think our comments are coming from Facebook.
I see comments coming from Facebook. These good comments. I'm still me and this Instagram. I need to take a class on how to see my live on Instagram. So I'm going to leave that to you. I won't see it until we're off. But
exactly.
Yeah, I have some things like when people write in and say, Stacey, speak about this, or Stacey, ask this question on your page. Before I got hacked, I would post questions on my page. But if there's somebody that does have a topic that they think should be discussed, you're more than welcome to inbox me or Sharon.
Exactly.
All I ask is that you be respectful. If you don't agree with what I said or what Sharon says, but you know what? How can you not agree with Sharon giving us that good stuff?
But everybody, this is opinions, mixed in with a little bit of research, but perspective, wisdom from my own experiences and life lessons and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, Stacey, what I would like to end with is betrayal gives us the opportunity to get to know ourselves better. There's an opportunity to get to know yourself better and to grow as a person through the betrayal. You can use it to a positive end. It doesn't have to be, the thing that damages you irreparably. It doesn't have to be that thing. It can be something that puts you in touch with who you are, helps you to grow emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and give you a better level of self-awareness.
You have answered something that I wanted to ask earlier. I wanted to ask you, can betrayal be a blessing in disguise?
Yes.
And you just said, Faith, you just answered that. It can be a blessing in disguise. That Karen says, we must learn positive self-talk.
Exactly.
I know that, sweetheart. And when a man tells you you don't look good, Mary J. Blige says you look in the mirror and say, good morning, beautiful.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, they say you got to speak life. Speak life into yourself, right?
Exactly. Most definitely. Definitely. Well, thank everybody for joining us now. This is one of those topics that, could go on and on and on and on, but we will not keep you all, I think we tackled enough of it that if you have been, or are still going through betrayal, you can use some of what we've discussed tonight to get unstuck and to start to heal. And that's what this show is all about, the healing, the exhale.
Right. We want to
holding on to.
We want to heal. We don't want to boil no grits and throw them on nobody.
Right, exactly.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm kidding. Sharon, it's been great.
It's been great, Stacey, as always. As always. So, as Stacey said, if there's some topic you want us to tackle, inbox us, let us know, make a comment, and feel free, chime in during the shows. It just makes it all the better.
It does. It does.
Good night and exhale.
It's helping y'all. Bye-bye.
Want to be heard? Get featured on The Stacey Thomas Show. Join Stacey for conversations on entertainment, books, and entrepreneurship. Don't miss out. Elevate your brand today. Book your interview now. Email staceythomas@gmail.com.